So, 2020 was a great year for playing video games. Not necessarily a fantastic year for releasing games because of reasons, but there was a lot of time to play games, and play a lot of games I did. So I thought I'd kind of just put my thoughts into a tier list again. Just kind of going off the cuff, talking about some of the games that I played in 2020. Games that released in 2020, I should say. Although most of the games that I did play in 2020 did release the same year. Other than stuff like League of Legends that I play every year. But anyways, let's get into it. Alright, starting off, Animal Crossing. I don't like it. Low tier. Maybe I'll have to put a bottom tier. Anyways, Animal Crossing, mid tier. I've played every Animal Crossing mainline game, and I've always kind of enjoyed it, but I guess maybe I just kind of grew out of it. I definitely didn't really play New Horizons as much as I did like New Leaf or Wild World. The content, I guess, on launch was kind of sparse, and I just kind of got bored of it really quickly for some reason. I understand why people like it, but maybe it's just not really for me anymore. Oh yeah, I'm only going to be talking about games that I've played, of course. I mean, I could rank more, but there's no really point in doing that, right? Astro's Playroom. I did get a PlayStation 5. This is pretty much just a tech demo. For what it is, it's nice, but yeah, it's not really much of a game. Bravely Default 2. This is not a 2020 game, this is a 2021 game, so I'm not really sure why it's on the list. It was revealed in 2020. High tier. I don't know. I don't know why it's on this list. Good RPG. Solid. Nothing mind-blowing. Nothing spectacular. Fire Emblem Three Houses DLC. This is just the DLC for Fire Emblem. I guess they're counting DLC as its own release. I thought it was alright. It didn't really add too much to Fire Emblem Three Houses, but what it did add was pretty good. I got kind of burned out of Fire Emblem Three Houses, so I guess when I played the DLC it wasn't really as fun as it maybe should have been, but it's still decent pickup, I think. Clubhouse Games, yeah, this can go in high tier. I mean, it's just a bunch of classics, but the presentation is really well done. The online is, it just works. Like, it does what it's trying to do, and it does it well, so yeah. Crash 4, high tier. It's a solid game. I never really grew up with the Crash games, actually. The first one I played was just like the remastered one that I got for free for having a PlayStation 5. I played the trilogy, and I only really played the first game of the remastered trilogy. And then I just jumped right into 4. I didn't really get the lore that was going on, but the gameplay was fun. It was difficult, but it was fun. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Fantastic game. My first encounter with the Final Fantasy VII series, actually. I never played the original, but I kinda knew a lot of the plot just from cultural osmosis, you could call it. But I understand the hype now. I get why people like it. It's a pretty great narrative. Good characters, good music, good gameplay. I mean, of course, the remake is a pretty big departure from the original, but the only thing that really sours it for me is knowing that I have to wait like 3 years for the next part, and then maybe like another 2 or 3 years for if they do a third part. I mean, I know that really shouldn't like sour my opinion of what we have now, but it is just kind of hard to separate that thought, just how it ended on... It didn't really end on a cliffhanger. It kind of did, but like the ending was satisfying enough, but just knowing that I have to wait for the next part, because there is going to be more, it's hard. Okay, let's see. I did play Tokyo Mirage Sessions on the Wii U. I didn't play the Switch remake. I really like that game. If I were to rank it, it'd go in like top tier for me, but since I didn't play Encore, I'm not gonna rank it. But the Wii U version is like a top tier game for me in general. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, also known as my Sephira Eviolite for the mobile game that I paid $60 for, as well as character skins that I don't really use. Well, actually I used some of them, but... jokes aside, as a fighting game, it's really good. It's simplistic, but it has a lot of the anime mechanics. It has really good visuals and presentation, lots of fan service in both the lore sense and the traditional sense, but I liked it. I wish that it had better online. I wish that certain world circumstances didn't cause the competitive scene to die out on arrival, pretty much. I think it could have been a really good game, but it was held back by a few things. You know what? I'm gonna put it in high tier, actually. Monster Hunter Iceborne. Good DLC content for a game that I really enjoyed. I played a lot in Monster Hunter World. Iceborne was just kinda more of the same, I guess. It was a little bit better. More of a good thing is a good thing, so mid-tier. I can go in high tier, I guess. I liked Monster Hunter World enough on its own. Persona 4 Golden, that's just a straight up port. Paper Mario Origami King. This is kind of a controversial one. I know a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people thought it was good, but not like what they wanted it to be. My personal take is, yeah, it's definitely not as good as the 64 version or Thousand Year Door, but I'd probably put it above Super Paper Mario at the very least. So, what, like third place, which is not bad. I mean, the gameplay was kind of bad, but the story was okay. Characters were charming enough. The visuals are really good. I mean, a lot of people complain about having to fight like a stapler or a hole puncher, but I didn't actually mind it. I thought it was kind of interesting. All right, Persona 5 Royal, easy top tier, or the best tier, as I put it. I love Persona 5. Persona 5 Royal is just a huge improvement in every way. I mean, video essays about why Persona 5 Royal improved on Persona 5 has pretty much become its own subgenre of YouTube. The new semester just really elevated the game to masterpiece level in my opinion, and I guess they didn't really change that much from like the original story content, but they did enough to make it feel fresh to where I didn't mind the 100 hours of Persona 5 gameplay again. Pokemon Snap, that's not even out yet. Sword and Shield expansion, this one also going mid-tier. The actual content itself was kind of mediocre, but I really did like how it just made raising your competitive team so much easier. And although they did add Landorus back to the meta, so maybe it's not so great after all. It's a trade-off. What's next? Legends of Runeterra? Good card game? Not all people talk about this one. It's definitely probably the best digital card game that I've played. I mean, there's not a lot of competition in that regard. What is there? Hearthstone and Shadowverse. Probably like one other big one that I'm missing, but as a League of Legends fan, it did a lot to expand on the lore, and that's pretty cool, but as a card game, it's on its own, it's a good game. Like, the card collecting aspect is really generous for a free-to-play game, and the gameplay loop is pretty solid itself too, so yeah. I don't know, high tier is getting kind of crowded. Maybe I should... Let's add a new row. Call this one mid-high tier. And let's bump a few things down. There we go. That looks... Paper Mario can go down here too. Yeah, that looks about right. Alright, what's next? Pokemon Dungeon. Again, I didn't play this one. I played the original, but I didn't really see the point of playing the remake. So I don't really feel right rating it. If I did have to rate the original on the scale, it'd probably go in like mid-high. I like the dungeon games. I think they're a little overrated, especially the original ones. I mean, Explorers is probably about like the peak of the series. So I would love to see a remake for that one. I'd probably buy that. Sakura Wars I almost bought, but the lack of an English voice option kind of killed it for me. Last of Us 2 I didn't play. Valorant I played like one game and I hated it, but I don't think that's enough to form a solid opinion on it. I just wasn't interested in playing it at all past like the initial hype from the beta, so I don't feel right rating that one either, but if I did I would put it in low tier. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Okay, so this was a game that I was really excited about. I really wanted to play the original ever since Shulk got announced for Smash, but I couldn't stand how ugly the original version looked on the Nintendo Wii, and that alone was enough to get me to not play it. But the Definitive Edition, it looked beautiful, and the gameplay is still great, story is still great. Honestly, maybe it could go in up here. No, I'll leave it there. It is still a remake, and I didn't really like the new story they added in at the end. I mean, it's nice they added it. It's nice they added new content, but I just didn't really care for it. Yakuza 7, easy, the best tier. Surprise sleeper hit, one of my favorite games from 2020, and just in general. I've never played a Yakuza game, I've never been interested in the series, but seeing that they made an RPG version got me interested, and it just has so much charm. The story and writing is so good, the characters are really well written and well voiced. The gameplay is kind of simplistic, but it's fun, and it's has a good blend of like humor and also a serious plot. The side missions are really good. I do want to talk more in depth about it at some point, just because I could gush about how much fun I had playing Yakuza Like a Dragon. Still not interested in playing the rest of the series though. I don't like the gameplay and lack of English voice options again. Although it's not as big of a deal because it's not like an RPG, but they're still like story-based games. And I do like to understand what the characters are actually saying, so I'll hold off for now. Nocturne, not out yet. Dragon Quest XI, good game, good game. It was a little, I do like RPGs, but it was a little too basic for my taste, I guess. It's just a really good turn-based RPG. So it's kind of similar to Bravely Default in that regard, in my opinion. Death Stranding, I didn't really play that much either, so I don't want to rank it. If I did, I'd probably put it in low tier, but I played a little bit and then I just watched a playthrough of it. Not really my cup of tea. I can sort of understand why people might like it, but I didn't get it. Trails of Cold Steel 4, good game. I binge played the entire Trails of Cold Steel series in 1 month. I bought it on a whim, and I got hooked immediately, and it was a great month, just back to back to back, 60-hour RPGs. I really like the characters, the story and setting is really well crafted. I don't really want to go back and play the older games in the Trails series, even though everyone says that, oh, you gotta play the whole series to get the full experience, but I did watch like 12 hours of video summaries and stuff, so I think that's good enough. Hyrule Warriors I skipped, because I didn't play Breath of the Wild. Super Mario 3D All-Stars, individually all the games I really like, so I don't know if I should be ranking it. I'm just like, yeah, I think I will rank it on how good the individual games are. It's high tier. 3D Marios are good, but my favorite ones are Galaxy 2 and Super Mario 3D World, both of which are not in this collection. And I did play all these games a long time ago, so it's just a good collection. But there's not a lot to talk about other than that. I mean, everything that's been said about Mario has been said multiple times. Super Mario 35, mid-tier. It's Mario, Super Mario Bros. From the Nintendo Entertainment System, but in a battle royale. It's okay. It's just like a short game you play once and then as a novelty. It's not really, there's not really much to talk about with that. Fall Guys. Mid-high. I like this game. It was fun for a while. It had a huge hype. I really did like how it got mainstream streamers to play a cutesy-looking party platformer game. So that was probably like the biggest cultural impact that it had. And I thought that was just, it was just fun. Like, I like Mario Party games, and this is pretty much just Mario Party mini games, but as a kind of battle royale format. Bug Snacks. This was a meme. I'll put it in low tier. It was... The twist, I guess, was kind of interesting, but it was more of just a PS5 tech demo, even though it wasn't even a PS5 exclusive. I mean, the most fun I had was just kind of seeing how the DualShock 5 controller interacted with the game. I did get it for free though, so I can't really complain that much. Wait, did I get it for free? Well, I had to buy PlayStation Plus to get it, I think, but whatever. Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Wait. Oh yeah, this is another game that I played the original, not really, I didn't play the deluxe version on the Switch, but I played the Wii U one. I don't like Pikmin, that's my hot take, so I'm not gonna rate it, because I didn't play the deluxe version. But it would go in low tier for me, even though it's a good game. I know Pikmin is a good game, but I don't like it personally, so... is that it? Is that all the games I played? No, I played Devil May Cry 5, mid-high. I didn't play the original Devil May Cry 5, I only played the special edition, and I played the Virgil mode, which didn't have any of the story content, as I found out later, which I guess I should have seen that one coming, that they didn't make a story mode for Virgil mode, but I played Virgil in Marvel vs. Capcom, and he was like one of the coolest characters in that game, so why wouldn't I play the Virgil mode? Hades I didn't play, but I heard it was okay. Yeah, that's it, really. There's a lot of games I didn't really play on this list. Were there any games that aren't here? Genshin Impact, that was a big one that came out in 2020. I'd probably put that in low tier, honestly. I didn't really like it that much. I say that, but I spent like $100 on rolling for characters. But at the end of the day, the content pipeline and just the overall writing and gameplay loop was not for me personally. Let me take one more look over. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh yeah, Scott Pilgrim. That's another game that I didn't play. I played the original and not like the remake, or I guess re-release. I don't really know what they changed. It would go in mid-tier for me, probably. It was like a nice novelty. The comics and the movie were really hot at the time when the game came out, so people look back on it fondly, but it was just a pretty good side-scrolling beat-em-up game. I don't think it was anything too special. Shit, that's it. Let's see. Okay, let's take a look at the list, see if there's anything I would change. No, this looks about right for me, actually. Yeah. I'd like to talk more in depth of some of these games at a later point. Probably Trails of Cold Steel as a series. My own Persona 5 video essay that is so popular. Yeah, this about sums up my thoughts for 2020. Good year for gaming in hindsight. Wow. A lot of heavy hitters. Especially for the RPG fans. I guess if you weren't an RPG fan though, it's kind of sparse, but if you're not an RPG fan in 2021, you're on the wrong side of history, buddy. Get with the times. Anime is the future.